Here we go, everybody. Woo! Welcome to the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework bi-weekly sync call. And I'm your host, Chris Kent, and we're going to talk about all sorts of exciting things. So we've got all sorts of updates all over the PNP initiative here, all sorts of things happen all over the Power Platform or the 365 dev community, samples and everything. We'll go through all of those. And then we also have some great demos here. We just got 2 today, so hopefully we've got some time to go a little more in depth here. So Sergej is going to talk to us about the Fluent UI with the searchable drop-down component. And then we've got Adam and Martin, and they're going to be doing some CLI stuff for us. So, all right, let's get to it. So first off, if you're not aware, we have a ton of resources for you, right? So hundreds of videos. We've got a whole LinkedIn group for discussions where you can participate back and forth there, right? We have lots of really interesting conversations there, but we also have a Discord group for that. So if you want to do some live conversations or chats there or ask questions and see if anyone's around, that's a great spot to do that and continue the conversation from today. And then, of course, we have all of our open source repositories and samples and all sorts of things for you to use, share, and then contribute back to, and we would love to have your participation in that. Woo! And then, of course, we have these. These are our calls, right? So we've got these just all the time. I think every 15 minutes we have a call, something along those lines. Right, so we have this one, which alternates every couple of weeks with our general dev call, right, where we're going to talk about all sorts of stuff in Power Platform and so on. So click on these links or go to our aka.ms/community/calls to get all of the recurrent invites so that you're always up to date and here for those. And they're also recorded and put on YouTube within 24 hours. Wow, wow. Okay, so then coming up here on the 9th of April, right, so what is that? That's, coming up. I don't know. I don't even know what today is. That's next Tuesday. So there you go. So we'll have got some great demos from Daniel, some other people. We'll go on from there. But if you want to be one of those people and you want to present, right, so go fill this thing out. We are always looking for people to present. You do not have to have done it before. You don't have to be an MVP, right? You don't have to have some big open source contribution where you've, changed the world, right? We're looking for people that are doing real stuff, getting stuff done using this technology, right? And if you got an example of, hey, I did this, whether it's, like life-changing or it's just a getting started type thing, you will help somebody. So please come present. We were happy to help you. We're happy to walk you through it. If you're nervous about slides, you're worried about the presentation aspect of things, we can work through all of that as well. All right. And then, of course, we have this guidance here. So, Dave, you want to talk about this?
I absolutely do, Chris. Thank you. So,
yeah, woo, wowee.
So,
oh yeah.
So, friends, it's better than grunting this time, isn't it? I think. For those that didn't know, we grunted through these slides one time. It was fun. Anyways, sharing is caring. Yes, I am back from medical leave. We are setting this back up. You'll notice that we've slimmed down our sessions to be a little bit more deliberate in what we're assisting people with based on the feedback we have gotten. So you want to know how to contribute. You want to know how to interact with GitHub. We are setting those up. We are setting up the office hours. So we really appreciate your patience. We cannot be more appreciative of that patience. And thank you for your dedication to this community. Keep an eye out for it. We are absolutely going to be setting that up. So aka.ms/sharing is caring. What is alive and well as well, I'm just redundant today, plus I'm repeating things, is that our recognition program is here. So it is alive and well, and badges are going out. In fact, some just went out today. So keep an eye out on those inboxes for those badges. We've got more coming. We've got our classics, and we're going to have more fun this year. So just need you to opt in, aka.ms/community/recognition. It is absolutely free. It is powered by Credly, and if you press next, it'll actually show that little spinning badge coming into view. There you go. Thank you, Chris. And we want to recognize you guys in a formal and accredited way, and that's what we're doing here. So no cost. We cover the cost with Credly. It is a fantastic program, absolutely free. Get on board. If you haven't already, you can register. All you need to do is once, and we will track all of your contributions forever and ever and ever. So, Chris, back to you.
Forever and ever and ever. Wow, that's quite the promise. All right, yes. Here we go. Yeah, those badges are forever. That's right. I personally, I print them out and I put them all over my walls. That's true. Okay. All right, let's talk about actual updates of the SharePoint Framework. So, Vesta, what do we got coming for us?
Well, the latest update is version 1.19 public developer preview, which came out last Wednesday, Thursday. I can't remember, but time flies when you're having fun. So that was out. Please test it out. The key updates there are mentioned actually on the following slides. But before we go there, let's go to the following slide. The usage is growing. Obviously, right now within the last week, we had a Easter weekend, and that is impacting especially in Europe on the people not working, which is great because people need to have some resting time as well. So, but it's magical to see the growth curve. It's just linear, and the usage is off the roof, which is really, really cool to see. Now, 1.18 is still the latest for production, and then 1.19 beta is actually available previous week. Beta available. Why does it say next week? We need to update that. Now, magically, as I say that, Copilot is smart enough to understand that, hey, Copilot, can you go and remove the next week from the slide so it will be up to date for the modifications. Let's see if actually can make this happen. So new shape for the Viva Connection cards. There's the new chart card available, which is basically for adjusting or presenting charts within the dashboard. That's pretty cool. We're looking into having other cards and other options available from graphical perspective, so you can kind of build a nice KPI or based dashboard with the cards and then provide more details when you click that. See, it just took a while for Copilot to actually get rid of that. Now it's all gone. Now accessibility improvements, technical stack upgrades is coming as well. Fluent UI updates, TypeScript 5 maybe. I can't promise that. It's highly dependent on the behind of the scenes dependencies. What we have, Webpack 5 is already 1.19, which is great. So the Webpack process is much faster, and then issues as well. We're looking into including other stuff in 1.19 as well. And hopefully more and technical stack upgrades are coming as well. I do understand we're getting a lot of feedback related on React 18 and all of that stuff, and we would love to do that. There's, however, a technical dependency on which React version SharePoint Online is using. So Yeoman Generator cannot be updated until we get that one updated because of technical dependencies, but hopefully we'll get all of that sorted out sooner or later. But that's a quick update from engineering side on what's happening within the SPFX world. Let's go to the next one. Next slide.
Oh, yeah.
This works, so I can just say next slide and it works. It's magical. So, see, Copilot.
Wow. All right.
Wowee.
So, wowee. Now,
that's the power of AI.
That's right. Did Copilot really update that slide, Vest, or was that David? Come on. David's my little Copilot, right? So it works perfect. All right,
maybe that's the real. Maybe that's how it works, actually. So there's somebody.
I think it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Real people.
You got to do something when you're not sleeping, you know.
Well, speaking of doing stuff when you're not sleeping, open source project, we've got all sorts of updates that have been happening. So, Julie, you want to talk about the Pineapple JS?
I want to talk about Pineapple JS. Can I have some pineapple? Guess what, everybody? We're almost ready for version 4.0 to go GA. We are hoping. We're gonna say in April because if you don't see me because I have air quotes going on. It's gonna happen in April. We're gonna get it done. We are all three of us are extremely busy and we're scrambling to get the last bits done. Nightly builds are available. I'm actually using them myself in some development, so I can share that they are working pretty well. We have docs that need updating. We have test cases that are still broken, that are the test cases and not the code. So we need to fix those test cases up. And we also have to write V3 to V4 upgrade docs. It's essentially going to be things that are deprecated. Yes, Patrick, we are shouting because we are so excited. Some great things have been happening there. And so definitely check out those nightly releases to see how we're going. And a quick note on version 3, like with version 2, we will be maintaining it for any bugs for the foreseeable future. Sure, that'll be likely around 6 months because it's very difficult to maintain 2 versions. But we haven't seen many bugs in version 3 recently, so that's probably not going to be very many updates. So we will only release version 3 updates after V4 goes GA for bug fixes. Otherwise, there will be no future version 3 updates. So that is my update on Pineapple JS, and back to you, Chris Kent.
Oh, yeah. All right, Gary, you got some stuff for us on the CLI here?
I do.
All right.
You can bring up the slide. Fantastic. Thank you. Yep. So we have a new release of CLI for Microsoft 365. This is 7.6.0. So this new version brings commands for Outlook, Purview, SharePoint Framework, SharePoint Online as well. Nice SharePoint Framework command for adding Azure DevOps pipeline to a project as well. So that's nice being wrapped up into a single command. We've got a new sample script as well. I shared about this on the last call, but worth repeating again. So there's now a script that has been contributed by a member of the community that extracts information about retirement-related components from your tenants. So things like event receivers, SharePoint add-ins, where you're using ACS, you can now get a report, and you can use CLI to do that. If you want to try out, use the latest version of CLI for Microsoft 365. You can use the @latest tag from NPM, and we use the latest tag from Docker as well. Much more enhancements across the board as well. We've got some updates to commands. Full details are in the release notes, aka.ms/CLI-M365/notes. And if you are wanting to get involved in the CLI community, the best place to do that is through our Discord server. So if you've got any questions you want to ask, that's the best place to do that. You can join the server if you go to aka.ms/CLI-M365/Discord, and you'll be able to join the server. Chris, next slide. Thank you very much. So we have a new release of DevProxy as well. So we had a few beta releases over the last few weeks. We've now rolled those up into the latest stable version. So we have the new version, which is 0.16. So what's new in this? So we've added the ability for you to simulate graph connectors, webhooks, so the whole flow end to end, so you can test your code and make sure it works and functions correctly without actually having to hit a Microsoft 365 tenant as well. So you can do it disconnected. So that'd be really useful for developers who are building those solutions. And as part of that flow, we've got two new plugins. So one plugin is to simulate a webhook as well. So we use that in the graph connector scenario. But if you're using any webhook, you can still use proxy. So maybe you're using graph notifications and you want to simulate a notification coming from graph, then you can do that with this new plugin. And we've also got connector guidance as well. So if you are building graph connectors, we will help you out. So potentially if you're missing things in the schema, things like that will be important for maybe using that content in Copilot. We will highlight that in the output in DevProxy and suggest maybe you should be doing these things. And then a few other little enhancements, like we've added support for comments in config files. We appreciate that these files can get quite big, so it's useful to add in comments in there just so that you've got your own annotations in there. You remember why you've configured the things the way that you wanted it. But if you want to take a look at the latest release, you want to understand a bit more about DevProxy and what it can be used for, best place to go is aka.ms/devproxy, and you'll get into our documentation. Chris, back to you.
Wow. Sometimes I forget that these tools are free, right, and continually updated. It's just amazing, some of the stuff that has been put out there by the community. So awesome, and it's great to see all the amazing ways this keeps changing and keeps growing. So speaking of awesome tools out available from the community, Alex, you want to talk about the reusable SPFX controls?
Yep, sure. Thank you, Chris. So we are on React Controls 3.17, React Property Controls 3.16, and it's been a while since the last release, but hopefully we'll have the next one maybe in the next couple of weeks. We are trying to have a cadence of like 2 months or so for the versions. As usual, thank you to all our contributors to both repos, and if you have any ideas or if you want to fix a bug or just file the bug, go to our repos in GitHub and please contribute. Thank you. Back to you, Chris.
All right. So Adam, want to give us an update on the SharePoint Framework Toolkit?
Yeah, sure. So we've just released a new major version of SharePoint Framework Toolkit. So it's not anymore Viva Connections Toolkit, but SPFX Toolkit. And in this release, we added some awesome improvements, like a totally new scaffolding process where you have a clear form, and also has an additional step that allows you to install, for example, one of the PMP popular, like Pineapple.js dependencies. We added support to generate the Azure DevOps pipeline together with the app registration and the needed certificate for logging using an app for your pipeline. Yeah, and many more. So be sure to try it out if you are doing any kind of SPFX development. Visit the aka.ms/viva/VS Code to give it a try. And happy coding, everybody.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right, Casper, you want to talk about the modern search stuff here? Ooh.
Oh yeah, sure will. We have released 4.11 somewhat 3 weeks ago now, and it's luckily it's pretty stable. We haven't seen any issues yet. No people have reported anything yet, but I would like to point to one of the new abilities that we have got. That's sticky headers, but basically something that we all know from Excel, where if you scroll on your content, the header will have to disappear usually, but not anymore. We can still see the header. And that's a nice little feature that was added by Patrick Hellman a couple of weeks ago. And we are very thankful for that one. Apparently, people still love Excel like grid views. So that's a good one. And then hopefully we'll see an Italian language pack for PMP Modern Search within the next few weeks. So keep your eyes peeled. Back to you, Chris.
All right. Let's see. Hugo, you happen to be around?
I happen to be around, yes.
All right. Hugo, the brand new MVP. Congratulations, Hugo.
Thank you. All right. So we have SPFX samples. If you're trying to get started with SPFX, or you have a pointy-haired boss that tells you you need to do something, you just don't know how to do it, go take a look at our SPFX samples. We have web parts and extensions that are built by awesome members of the community that you can use to build your own solutions. And of course, you can contribute your own solutions. But here's the latest updates for the last 2 weeks. We have an update to the Content Query Online, the much beloved web part that allows you to create queries. Nemortu has rebuilt it in SPFX 118.2. We have a tour sample that allows you to make it possible to introduce your visitors to the content of a page with a fancy tour. And Alberto Gutierrez Perez has updated that for us. We have a new modern carousel by Sandeep that allows you to create beautiful slidable carousels for images and things like that. We have a new extension by Tobias, which is a company template. It allows you to actually manage your company templates within your site, which is beautiful. And finally, we have an update to the announcements extension by Mike Myers that allows you to post announcements, urgent messages, and things like that on every page. Again, you can contribute to this repo by going to aka.ms/SPFX-webparts. And of course, you can find all the cool samples in our adoption.microsoft.com solutions gallery. That's it for me. Back to you, Chris.
All right. Noop, you want to share some of the exciting stuff here with the ACES?
Yes, thank you. So we have some new samples in the SPFX ACES or Adaptive Card Extensions repository. So the first one is called the Dynamic Content Card sample. This is contributed by Eric Scherlinger. And what this does is it allows you to see information from SharePoint list based on the user's usage location property. Quite an interesting sample to take a look. And then secondly, we have the chart card samples. In fact, 2 chart card samples. There's one by Emery Thomas that displays the page creation information. So essentially, it shows a line chart as to when the pages and the news have been created in the current SharePoint site. And then we also have a chart card called 3 Series by Vesa, which was added recently as well. Yeah, to take a look at these samples, they will be merged shortly in the ACES repository. So yeah, and the link for that is aka.ms/spfx-aces. Back to you, Chris.
All right. Now, about time Vesa contributed back. He's been freeloading off this community for way too long. Am I right? All right. So how about...
Demands.
That's right. How about we take a photo? All right, everybody turn on your cameras, and Vesa, let you take over here.
Yep, I will move us to get mode on the picture. And I promise Chris to be contributing more in the future, so that should be good. So. Good. We are a bit pixelated today. It might be actually, again, I'm trying to be on the picture and might mess up things. Let's see. Let's wait for a while. We're not yet recording. We do have 50 seats in the room. I think it's getting a bit better. I can see Hugo in the front row, David in the top. You can recognize them easily. Yeah, this is good. We can do waves, and I guess we are hitting the max number of people. So let me put the recording on. Still more, one more row. Let's do some hand waving, everybody. Thank you for joining. Yes, a bit pixelated today, but it's okay. It's okay. It doesn't matter. Excellent. Everybody can see people smiling. That's always a good thing. Awesome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of the community. And great picture. We'll get it shared in the social media. So back to you, Chris.
All right. Okay, well, let's jump over to our demos here, and we've got a little bit of time. So if you've got some questions, go ahead and post those in chat, and maybe we've got some time afterwards. We'll ask them, or not. All right. So first up, Sergej, if you want to go ahead and take over, it's all yours, and go for it.
Okay, thank you. So I'll share my screen. Can you see it? No?
Yep, got it. Looks great.
Okay, great. Yeah, hi, my name is Sergej Schwabauer, and I'm happy to be a presenter again this year. I work as a lead developer at Aurum in Nuremberg, Germany. I have more than 14 years of experience in SharePoint development, and also have a blog where I regularly write and publish my solutions or share my experience. I have also provided some samples in the PNP community or at NPM. Today, I present one of these solutions. My React components based on Fluent UI. Today, I will tell you something about the idea of the package, how to install it, and what it contains. Afterwards, I will show you a demo. Let's start with the idea. I have already created a lot of SPFX projects for our customers, and there are always components that are needed more often, such as an icon picker or color picker. But often you also need to display a confirm dialog. These are all components that are not customer specific and can be provided very easily with an NPM package. I also use various CSS classes in many projects to create the UI more quickly, such as the flex row or text center classes. That's my own classes or class names. This is how the idea for the components came about. And finally, also the implementation. It is similar to the PNP React controls, except that it can also be used without SPFX. I would also like to mention that one or two components are included in PNP controls, such as the icon picker, but I developed mine because I wanted it to be different from the standard. In the end, of course, it's up to you which controls you use. Now let's move on to the installation part. This is very simple. Just npm install Fluent UI React controls from @spfx_dev. So if you use a different package manager, you must of course replace npm with, for example, pnpm. And then you can use the following components. Autocomplete, the previously mentioned icon picker or color picker, a tree view, which unlike PNP tree view can be accessed using the keyboard, or a searchable drop-down. There are also plugins, at least that's how I call them. This can be used to open an alert dialog with a single line of code, for example. And of course, there are even more components than those mentioned here and mentioned here. So at this point, it should also be mentioned that I have tested the controls, but it's still in the beginning and errors may occur. I have also planned to add more components. So I want to show you now my components. This is the documentation of the components. It is based on Storybook and has the benefit that there can be a preview of the components. That is why I will not leave this website, as the examples are enough. As already mentioned, the package has only recently been created. I have tried to write this documentation as much and as quickly as possible. Many things may not be described completely or incorrectly. Please forgive me. I didn't have much time for it. Okay, let's start with the first component. I have called it Add New Toolbox. This toolbox is a replica of the SharePoint Add a New Web Part component. I think you can imagine what it can be used for, but this is what it looks like. Just a line with an add icon, click it, and then a callout will be appears. By default, it's only visible when hovering, like this. But you can also always, or the control can be always visible, like this one. Or a custom rendering can also be defined like that. Now to the next control, autocomplete. You can use this component, for example, if you want to give the user suggestions. It is best to use this component in combination with, for example, an API call. In the SharePoint universe, for example, for the search API. Of course, static values are also possible. My icon picker, for example, uses this control as well. There are some setting options, such as the minimum length a text must be before the onload suggestion event is triggered. I will demonstrate it with the dummy JSON API here. Let's enter, I don't know, laptop. And this is the result and the suggestion for the autocomplete. Sorry. Now to the next component, the badge. I think badge, we can skip the badge because it's just an UI element. But let's continue with the card. It's not really built on Fluent UI, but you can combine it with it. I don't think I need to explain what cards are, but basically you can map different UI elements with it. For example, simple card with title, subtitle, content or description, or a card with actions like this one. You can also handle the display type of if the buttons should be vertical or horizontal, like that. Or you can combine it with images, like this one. I think it's very nice and useful controls. The next component is about dialogues. Of course, Fluent UI has dialogues. But here are 3 special dialogues that JavaScript also has out of the box. These are an alert, a confirm, and a prompt dialog. The dialogues are just pre-designed dialogues with some configuration options. The dialogues look like this. Alert, confirm, and a prompt. The content of this dialog is configurable, and in the prompt dialog, also whether the cancel button should be displayed or not, as in this prompt with validation. Here is the cancel button not visible, and my validation needs a minimum of 3 characters. I will show you the plugins later because they make using these 3 dialogues even easier and faster. Those were the dialogues. Let's move on the next control, the icon picker. So, as already mentioned, my control differs from PNP because here we have the possibility to get suggestions with the autocomplete control. And if you have selected an icon, it's also displayed directly in the right-hand area. Let's demonstrate this. Test bigger, and here is the preview. It is also planned to display a panel or dialog with all icons similar to PNP. The next component isn't really anything new, but it has a big advantage because my color picker is very small, as you can see here. When clicked on this, it opens the Fluent UI color picker in the callout. You can also specify a label if you want, like here, or remove the label and it looks like that. So, similar to the card component, the next component is also just a design element, list and list items. This allows you to create lists quickly and easily. List items. And you can decide, for example, whether a border should be displayed or a separator, like this one or that one. It comes with a few design elements as standard, such as the hover or the spacing, like this one. And of course, you can override them with your own CSS classes and so on. Now the last 3 components, the loading component. The loading component is a Fluent UI spinner, but in modal state on the entire page. This allows you to symbolize to the user that something is currently happening, and at the same time, the user has no possibility to use the other functions of this page. For example, this one, I cannot click something else on the page. Now to the searchable drop-down. This makes it easier to find the Fluent UI drop-down element. You can see it here. One moment, here. Let's enter, for example, app, and then you can select Apple. With such a small number of entries, you will probably need it less often. But here is an example with a little bit more items, with 5,000 items. Now let's look for option 5, 0, and here is the filtered list. It is important that the search or the filtering and then also the items that are displayed are always managed by the developer. The control does not do it automatically for you. Okay, now to the last component, my tree view. I have to say that it doesn't currently work like PNP, that you have checkboxes or something similar, but you can react to the selected event. Multiple select also doesn't work at the moment. I will add it soon. The much more important part is that you can control it completely with the keyboard. For example, with the arrow keys, right selecting is the space, and or up and down. If you use the right key with children, then it will be opened, or close with the left key, and so on. Okay, that's it for the components. Now to the last part. This should be quick, but it could be helpful. Open dialogues with one line of code. Here again, there are the 3 previously mentioned types: alert, confirm, and prompt. As you can see here in the code, I open the alert dialog with one line of code when the button is clicked. The open method returns a promise, so you can wait for the user to confirm it and only then execute the next code. And this is what it looks like. Same as before, but with one line of code. It also works the same way with the confirm dialog, like this one, only that the method returns a true or a false at the promise resolve, depending on what the user clicked. Yes, true, no, false. And the same happens with the prompt, only here the enter text is returned, or an empty string if it is cancelled. So you can also perform a validation here, for example, like here. And this is the code. So, and the last part, the loading, here is the same, one line of code, but only here you have to control yourself, and it is closed because, of course, I don't know how long it should be displayed. Yeah, for example, here, plugins loading show, and then after 3 seconds, it will be hide, like this one, and this with one line of code. Yeah, that was all about my package. I will switch back to my slides. And show more links to this package. I'm sure David will share the links with you, or already has. And yeah, finally, thank you.
All right, awesome, Sergej. Thank you very much. So we've got just a couple minutes. I want to ask you a couple of questions, if I could. So the first question I had for you is, I know it's in the name, but is there a dependency on, say, the SPFX packages or anything like that that would require you to use these only within SPFX, or are these
No,
React
it
okay.
has nothing, no dependencies with SPFX or something like that. Only React. Mm-hmm. Yeah, only React and React DOM.
Excellent. Okay. And then the next thing is, you've got some really awesome controls in here, like really amazing stuff. I'd love to see some of these added maybe to the React Reusable Controls library. Any thoughts on that, or plans to maybe do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we'd love to see that. So yeah, if you need any help with that, I'm sure all of us would love to see some of these added there, because again, you've done some amazing work. Thank you very much. Any questions in the chat or anything? I don't see anything right now. So fantastic job, Sergej. Awesome.
Thank you.
Adam and Martin, if you guys are ready, we'll go ahead and just switch over to you guys.
Sure. I'll just start sharing. Okay, let me know if you see my slides, and let's kick off. So
yeah, go for it.
I assume you do. Okay, so today we'll be talking about CLI for Microsoft 365, and this is our 4th out of 5 demo series. And in this series, we'll be presenting you how CLI can boost your development. So basically allow you to manage your Entra apps, Entra ID apps, SPFX commands, SPO, and a lot more. So let's go. And before we start, so hi everybody, my name is Adam. I am standard dev, an MVP, part of the PMP core team member, maintainer of a couple of PMP products maybe you use and love. And do reach me out directly if you have any kind of questions. And today with me, a real rockstar of today's team, Martin. So Martin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone. A bit about myself. Martin Machacek, software engineer, based in Czech Republic. I work for a company called AdHouse. I'm contributing to the CLI for Microsoft 365. I have small contributions to the projects related to the Microsoft Graph API. You can catch me on X Twitter if you want. And today I'm going to talk about how to manage external connections and external items using the CLI. Thanks.
Awesome. So let's move on. And at the beginning of every Microsoft 365 development, there's always some Entra app registration, right? And CLI for Microsoft 365 has a bunch of commands that allow you to get, list, remove, set, and a lot more your Entra apps. And basically, it allows you to do all of the things you use that are usually done, like adding a new Entra app with the correct permissions, with, for example, with a certificate or the authentication methods you want. And how many of times you created an Entra app and then you lost it among a lot of Entra app registration you have on your dev tenant, and this one particular was connected to your current project you're currently developing. So either you look for it, a bunch of those you already have on your tenant, or you create a new one from scratch like I do. And for example, let's say you have an SPFX project that uses Azure Functions as your backend service, and you need an Entra app registration for this Azure function to authenticate your tenant, to do whatever. You created it, done your work, and after 1 month you want to change something, and you want to use the same app registration you've done before, but you lost it in your tenant among like the hundreds you already have. So CLI has a solution to this problem. If you just add the save option when you're adding the Entra app, it will create an M365RC JSON in the context of your project. So this is the same file where CLI also keeps its context. And basically it's a simple list, so it allows you to save not one but many apps that are connected to your development. It has the app ID and the name, and then you can use the M365 app commands, not Entra app, but app just after the M365 to, for example, open the Entra app ID with a single command or list its permission. So really, really cool to keep your all of your project details in single place, and and then don't lose this information to do it many times. More. Okay, so also CLI has commands that boost your SPFX development, which is really unique and something many similar CLI tooling doesn't have. For example, we have an SPFX doctor command that will validate if your local workspace is properly set up. So basically, if you are using the proper node version for the latest SPFX development, or the correct Yeoman generator, or the GOP CLI, and so on and so forth. We also have a command that will generate you an SPFX package with the HTML snippet you inject in it. So let's say we have a scenario that we need to create a web part that, of course, shows the weather in Amsterdam, as always. We need it to be a tenant-wide, allow it to be a tenant-wide deployed package, and also allow it to be exposed in Teams as a personal app. So what would you usually do? I would usually, go with the Yeoman generator and SPFX toolkit, scaffold a new project, a simple web part, add the HTML to present the weather in Amsterdam, bundle it, package, then deploy it. I also modify the configs to make it exposed to Teams, and so on and so forth. Well, with CLI, you can do it in a single line. Yeah, in a single line, and this is actually this line where you inject the HTML in the HTML option from a separate file, and you just press the allow tenant-wide deployment and enable it for Teams. And that's all. And it will give you a package ready to be deployed. We also have commands that are specific to SPFX projects. So those are M365 SPFX projects commands, and those need to be run in the context, in the place where you keep your SPFX project. For example, we have the project doctor command that will validate if the SPFX dependencies you have in your project are in the correct version for the SPF version you have in this SPFX project. We also have the upgrade, the permission grant, the rename commands, so many commands that support typical scenarios when managing SPFX project. For example, an upgrade command will give you the upgrade guidance, how to upgrade your current SPFX project from your current version to the latest or the version you specify. So this is really awesome, because usually in Microsoft Docs, you see like a 1 or 2 liner when it's described that, okay, just update your dependencies to the latest one, and off you go. It's not actually that easy. Sometimes you need to modify some config, add a new config, or remove some file to make it valid towards the latest SPFX version. And CLI will give you this guidance in a step-by-step manner. Not so long ago, we added 2 new commands to this bunch. So we added the GitHub workflow and the Azure DevOps pipeline add commands, which will scaffold you a YAM workflows or pipeline, depending for which one you target, that will basically bundle, package, and deploy your SPFX project to SharePoint. So this is really awesome. Those will just generate the YAM files. So after that, you need those to be commit and published and pushed to either GitHub or Azure DevOps, and require some additional setup. But it basically gives you a starting point, and you don't need to be a young expert to have a CI/CD pipeline. You can run a single command and have a perfectly working workflow. And let's look at it. One of the typical scenarios, which really often used, the SPFX upgrade command. So here I am in Visual Studio Code. I have my SPFX project in the 1.17.4, and I would like to update it to the current latest GA version of SPFX. So I will run my SPFX project upgrade command in the context of my project. But as you can see, I specify the output tour, and this means that I won't get the guidance in a separate file, but I will get it as a code tour inside my project. So really, really awesome. Code tour is an additional extension you can install in VS Code. And then, as you can see, the output of this command is an tours folder with a new tour created for this SPFX project, and already the code tour extension has seen that this is added and points to me icons where there will be code tour steps specific to this line. So what I will get guidance steps that are, let's say, attached to a specific line in my project. So not in a separate file I need to go over, but inside my code in the context of my work. And in the code tour steps, I can see all of the steps, and for example, which are required or recommended, because not all steps need to be done to make it valid for the latest SPFX version. And of course, as a last step, it's recommended to delete the code tour to do a cleanup after you upgrade your project. So this is really, really awesome to have a step-by-step guidance inside VS Code in the context of your project and not in a separate file somewhere in docs. So be sure to give it a try if you're going to upgrade to the new version of SPFX. And of course, CLI has a bunch of commands that allow you to manage your SharePoint Online apps. So for example, we have all the add, deploy, get. So basically all of the operations you can think of that are done on the app catalog level and also on the site level. And we have dedicated commands that are dedicated for SPFX extensions like application customizer, add, set, get, and so on and so forth. And the same for the command set SPFX extension. And if you would like to be working on the tenant-wide deployed extensions, then you only need to add the word tenant between the SPO and the application customizer or the command set. And of course, SharePoint works better together with Teams. So CLI, of course, is also a command that will allow you to boost your management of Teams apps. And we have the Teams app install, uninstall list, and publish command. So those are the commands that are either on the specific team or user level or on the whole organization app catalog level. Yeah. And with that said, I've done my part, and now I'll pass my voice to the real rock star, Martin, who will show you how you can use CLI to bring your external data to Microsoft 365 with CLI for Microsoft 365. So, Martin, the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, so external connection. What is it? External connection is a feature inside the Microsoft Graph API that allows you to bring any data from your organization and make the data discoverable in Microsoft Search, Microsoft 365 Copilot, or Microsoft 365 app. And when there are 4 basic steps when working with external connections. The first step is to create an Entra ID application with limited permissions. So the application can only manage external connection and external items. The CLI has command Entra app add with several options. The options base application, it's a list of application permissions. Grant admin consent flag ensures that permissions are granted through the admin consent, and the option with secret will generate a new client secret, which can be used later for authorization. The second step is to create external connection using the command external connection add, where you specify ID, name, and description of your external connection. And once you have created the external connection, you need to create a schema which will describe your data. Imagine a schema as a list of properties you want to add to the connection. Each property has its name, data type, aliases, labels. You declare which properties are searchable, queryable, retrievable, etc. But creating schema is a long-running operation, and it usually takes several minutes until the schema is provisioned. And with wait option, the command will periodically check the status and finish once the schema is provisioned. And the last step, adding items using the command external item add. Maybe I would like to highlight the option ACLS, access control list, where you set up who has access to an item and can see the item in the search results. The access can be like without any limitation or limited to a specific user or specific group. The options you specify will map to the external item properties. Let's say the schema has property prop1, so the option prop1 will set the value of the prop1 property of the external item. Here some overview what's currently supported for external connections, like adding, retrieving, and removing connection. Very useful command, external connection doctor. It performs several checks if the external connection is correctly configured for use with a specified user experience like Microsoft Search or Microsoft 365 Copilot. So we have time, so I will show you a quick demo. I've created an external connection of CLI contributors in advance. Okay. The schema of the external connection is simple. It has property ID, name, email, and role. The role can be either maintainer or contributor. Yeah, and we can search people by name or email and filter them by role. So here is my PowerShell script where you can see all the 4 steps I mentioned it before. Like the first step, yeah, log in as an admin and create Entra application with limited permissions. Permissions defined here, external connection, read write, and external item, read write. Option with secret to generate a default client secret, and flag grant admin consent. Logout. In the next command, I will use the tenant ID, application ID, and secret generated before to log in. application. Here, some ID for my connection. Yeah, step 2, create external connection add, where you specify ID, name, description. Step 3, defining schema. Yeah, so my connection has properties ID, name, and email. These properties are searchable, retrievable. The last property, role, is queryable. It means that I can filter items by these properties. Here is the command, external connection schema add, and wait option. And for step adding items, it's hard coded, but you can see, well, the schema contains property name. So to set the value, I specified the option name and value. Role, maintainer, and here ACLS, access control list. So in this case, like everyone can see the item in the search result. And the result, I will share Graph Explorer, which is a developer tool to test Microsoft Graph APIs. On the left, there are some sample queries. So here under the search, sample query to search external items. Yeah, so URL, prepare it, post, request body. I will modify, add it. So I will use my connector. I will modify the fields, the properties to be returned. I don't care about IDs. So name, email, and row. Query string star. Well, it means that all items will be returned. Expand. Yeah, you can see. All contributors. Let's say I want to find contributors by name. So, for example, Adam, Dam, or Albeck. Louis. Query. And yeah, you can see the result, Adam, Albeck, and Louisa. Maybe I can show you, like as I mentioned it, the property role support filtering, so I can filter contributors by the role. So let's say I want to return only maintainers. Oh, total 7. Yeah, that's strange for some reason. Sometimes it returns.
Martin, just a word of a warning. Timing.
Yeah,
we
that was
need to start.
That was last example.
Cool.
So
cool. I guess it's Chris.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So that's
so,
it.
Martin, please.
Today.
Yeah, feel free to close up. Sorry.
Yes, that is for today about the CLI for Microsoft 365. But don't worry, next demo, Adam will talk about advanced usage of CLI. And meanwhile, you can join Discord server, follow the CLI team on X. You can join Microsoft 365 and platform community. And of course, you can check the docs to read more about the commands we presented today. Thanks.
Awesome. Just wanted to add that one more word. This was the first time Martin was presenting on the PNP community call. So just a round of applause for him and a huge congrats. So, okay, and back to you, Chris.
All right. Well, thank you both very much. Great demos today. Really appreciate it. And if you'd like to provide some feedback on what you've heard today or what you want to see in the future, whether that's the structure or the content and all that stuff, please fill us out. We do read them and we really appreciate it. And again, I mentioned this Discord community. Come join us there if you want to continue the conversation here, ask questions with experts or other people in the field that are doing this stuff. And maybe those are sometimes the same people. That'd be great. Then you can continue the conversation in Discord over here. And then finally, this call, as always, will be posted to YouTube within 24 hours. Don't click the link here in the chat. It will be there. And yeah, thanks so much. We love it. Woo! Check it out later. Bye. Wow.